Hello and welcome to Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Veggie Patty, and it's my pleasure to bring you information on healthy living. On today's episode, we are going to talk about Reiki. And here with me, I have a panel of Reiki Masters. So I wanted to thank you ladies for coming to the show today.
Well, thank you for
having
inviting
us.
me.
Yeah, so on my right, this is Lisa Torres, and the name of your company is White Feather Reiki, and you practice in Wyandotte, is that correct?
Yes.
And this is Kelley McShane, and Kelly's also a Reiki Master, and she works independently. And then Nicole Camilleri, and Nicole has a shop called Healing Through Art in Wyandotte as well.
Healing the heart.
Healing the heart, sorry, Healing the heart. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you.
So can somebody, I think a lot of people have heard the term Reiki, some people have not. A lot of people don't know what it is. It's this mysterious term. So what is Reiki? Can somebody explain at a really basic level what it is?
Reiki is a very gentle energy healing system, not to be confused with massage. It is used usually with the hands above the body, or it can be placed on the body very gently. And most people come to get Reiki because they want some stress relief. They want to relax, usually the first time. Anyone else have anything to say about Reiki?
Yes, I use my hands, so
Mhm.
it's a laying on the hands for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they'll come for stress reduction, relaxation.
Medical issues,
Medical issues, right.
illnesses, disorders.
Okay, and I think that's when people hear that it's energy healing, they're not always sure, what that is, because so it's not massage, and we want to make sure people know what it is and what it is, what it's not, and it's definitely it's not massage. There are other types of energy healing, which I know, Nicole, you do some different types of energy healing, and I think Kelley, you do some as well. So there are different types out there. Reiki is a specific type of energy healing, and I guess I'll just address kind of the elephant in the room here about energy healing in general, is that there are people that don't believe in energy healing because it's not something that they can necessarily quantify. But I know that it has been accepted in the medical community as an adjunct therapy, and Nicole, you were finding some research about how many hospitals it was in?
Yes, I believe that in USA Today, it was stated back in 2008 that in 2007 there were 800 hospitals using Reiki as another form of healing or healing the medical conditions, and I'm sure that's grown ever
Right.
since.
And Lisa, you said you knew of some around in Michigan?
In Bloomfield, their Henry Ford Hospital, they're using Reiki for expectant mothers.
Okay.
And that's worked out really well. Also, Dr. Oz, I'm sure everyone knows Dr. Oz. He's the one who introduced it on his show. A woman had headaches, and he had a practitioner come. His wife is also a Reiki master.
Okay.
So I thought that was, pretty neat, and he was promoting it. So, when you have someone using it for pre-op and post-op in his surgery, that's a pretty good thing to have.
That's great. So yeah, and like I said, I just wanted to address that there's a lot of people that they don't necessarily believe in energy healing, but it is accepted by the medical community. It is out there in hospitals. It is an option now for patients to get Reiki, and so there's independent Reiki practitioners, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you know a valid practitioner from somebody who's just happens to say, hey, I can do Reiki on you. We'll talk about the credentialing of it. But can anybody talk very briefly about the history of Reiki? How did it originate? Where did it come from?
I can talk
Okay.
on that. Yes, Mikao Usui was from Japan and was gifted the energy healing of Reiki while meditating on a sacred mountain, and he realized that he could bring this gift of healing and helping others within his family, and he decided to create a healing center in Tokyo. And from there, he developed his own techniques and possibly the symbols, and trained certain masters. He didn't train many because I don't believe that he lived very long after that, But from there, he taught one master named Hawaii Takada, who actually brought it over to America, to Hawaii. And she really taught very few people because she charged a lot of money back then. So it was very restricted to those who could actually learn
Afford
that
it.
healing and afford it, right. But today it has opened up greatly and definitely is not the price that it used to cost. So, and it has expanded in that way. So she brought it over to Hawaii,
Okay, great.
to the West.
Now, we talked about that they had trained some Reiki Masters and then they were teaching it, and I introduced all of you guys as Reiki Masters, and I'm a Reiki Master as well. So can somebody talk about how do you get certified in Reiki? What are different, are there, I know there's different levels of Reiki. The audience doesn't know this yet, but how do you get certified in Reiki? How do you go about with that process?
You would take a class by a certified Reiki Master teacher who would pass an attunement, which is giving you the ability to practice Reiki yourself. And you would learn through each level. I took 4 levels. I think most people do take 4 to achieve their master. You have a book and a manual, and you practice on yourself, and it's just like learning any other things. Yeah. And then you become certified, and you move up through the levels with experience.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I want to point out too, it's not. There are different levels, and everybody goes at their own pace. It's not like a regular school program where you go to school as soon as I finish 1, I'm going to move on to 2. It's actually not usually recommended by people to just jump from one to the other, because you have to get the practice in. You have to get used to doing it and get familiar with it before you feel that you're ready to move on to the next level. And there are some people that do go kind of straight through, but most people get comfortable at a certain level before they were to move on to the next one. And so it's personally how they feel and when they feel they're ready as well.
Yes, and your body does go through a cleansing and a healing process itself. So
Right.
that does take time, and you have to allow that time.
Right, exactly. So can you tell the audience, how did you get involved in Reiki, each of you guys? So let's start with Lisa.
I seen a catalog from Henry Ford Community College, and they were advertising Reiki, and it just caught my interest, and I thought, wow, this sounds really good. I'd like to experience it, try it out, and so that's what I did. I signed up for 1 class and continued all 4 classes. It was, a large group, but, it was very exciting, a lot of experience, and it's just changed my life. It's become a passion for me. I can't think of doing anything else, but helping people. And I've helped family, friends, strangers, and now, I need Reiki, please. I'm coming over, So it's been fun. It's really been fun.
Great. Kelley, how did you get started in it?
My best friend's mother was a Reiki master, and she talked about it a lot, and we thought she was a little bit kooky at first, and then I finally, her daughter and myself both kind of came on board, and I took all of my classes through her. Her name's Mary Rohde, and it took 4 years to complete my master. And that's it, yeah.
Great. And Nicole, how did you get started?
Well, I had been going through a lot of medical issues, and I had learned about alternative healing when I lived in France. And I did not want to receive all of the medicine that doctors were telling me that I needed at the time. I wanted to try something different. And from that moment where I made the decision to look beyond medicine, traditional medicine, and the side effects, doors seemed to open. So I happened to meet somebody who who had a Reiki certificate, and I was very interested. What is that? And she said, oh, it's a wonderful form of healing. I know somebody who could, actually the same person that Kelley knows. This person is wonderful. You should give it a try. And I took the brochure, looked at it. I thought, oh, this isn't so expensive. I'm going to give this a try. And I was completely amazed at the first healing treatment that I had gotten. And my healing began in that way. And that was phenomenal for me. So I started receiving Reiki on a regular basis, and my body began to completely heal, and I took absolutely no medicine whatsoever. So as I progressed through all of that, I'm an artist as well, so I thought, oh, I would love to do Reiki and put this into my art and spread the healing and the love. So I started that way. I started with my level 1, and then I was completely hooked. And I worked on myself. That's how it goes for the Reiki level 1. And then I thought, I'm going to move on to 2. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll stop there. Well, no, that was impossible. So I went on, and then my instructor said, well, you can become a master. So I invite you to work at this and become a master and teach it. And I was completely hooked. So
That's great.
yeah, it's been
great.
an amazing, amazing experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, I just, it's like you, I just kept seeing it, and I kept seeing it, and it caught my attention, but it didn't connect with me until I saw advertised for the class where you could learn Reiki and Reiki with animals. And for me, I'm a very animal-oriented person, and so I was like, aha, I'm going to sign up for this, and that's when I did the first level. It was a combination of, because Reiki is Reiki, but it's a little bit different on how you practice on people and animals. And so for when I started taking my first class, it was a combination of you do the people class and then you see how the animals are different, and you do the animal class. And so I did those, and I actually worked on animals for quite some time before I even went back to get my second level. But now I work actually with vets' offices because they respect the fact that I can do this. They see what Reiki can do. I shouldn't say me, but they respect the fact what Reiki can do, and I help them with their patients or with my own animals. I run an animal rescue and hospice, and so that really comes it comes in handy, especially with helping in transition. But I want to get into that now is how do you use Reiki? Like, who benefits from Reiki? Like, we already talked about stress relief. And you can, like maybe in the form of a story or an example without giving out client information. What are some ways that you've been able to use Reiki that when you first got into it, you didn't think it was possible to do this?
Well, recently I've had a gentleman come to me, suffering from vertigo for 3 years, ringing of the ears, just weak. When he approached, he came with his daughter. He had to hold on to his daughter to walk up the walk and to the stairs. We had a 1-hour session. After his 1-hour session, this gentleman could stand straight up, looked me in the eye, said he was ready to dance. Beautiful, beautiful soul. I have been working with him. He's able to go out now where he was not capable of doing before. His whole life has changed, and what more could you ask?
Right. That's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Do you have any that you'd like to share?
Personally, I'll just use myself as an example. I had smoked cigarettes for close to 20 years, and I was trying to quit over and over, trying everything out there, and finally I decided to use Reiki, and after 3 successive sessions, one a day, after the 3rd day, I just quit smoking cigarettes cold turkey, and I was done. That was 3 years ago, so.
That's great.
Yeah, that is great.
Congratulations on quitting smoking.
Thanks.
Nicole, do you have any stories to share?
I do. I have so many, but one that I can say that stood out to me was a lovely woman who came to me last year, and she had broken her wrist in several places, and she says, I need to be back to work in 3 weeks. So I worked on her. And I worked on her arm, and she called me back about a month later, and she said not only was I able to go back to work, she said I was able to take up kayaking again and riding her bike. She had had a bike accident. She said I got back on my bike, and she said I could completely bend my wrist and put weight on it. So that was in very, very short time, and she was very amazed by that, and so was I.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. And I worked on my animals. That's been tremendous as well. My cat gets a little aggressive. I just hold up my hand, and she'll go right down and start purring and go to sleep. And
Right.
yes.
Yeah, and it definitely can help, like, from an animal perspective, it could definitely help with some behavioral issues. And for me, like, the most surprising thing, and then where I use it a lot, is because of the hospice work I do, is it actually helps them transition more
Yes.
peacefully. And I've actually helped with humans in that regard, too. And they do, and then if somebody is in hospice, that's a service that people can get.
Yes.
And not every Reiki practitioner wants to participate in those, in that type of a service. And that's okay, because everybody does something different. Like for me, it's I typically don't work on people. I work with animals, and you guys mainly work with humans. And everybody has their, what they're comfortable with and who they want to work on. And sometimes it's just a gut feeling too. And I know like Reiki practitioners will refer to somebody else. Like if you got somebody that, for whatever reason was like, I don't think I'm the right person, you have people that you can refer to. And so there's a network,
Yes.
which is nice. And so I don't want people thinking like, they call one person and if they don't think it's a good fit, that it might not work. That might not be a good fit. You can find somebody else and
Right.
try it again. So what would patients, or if a client came to you, it's different for everybody, but what can somebody typically expect during a Reiki session?
They can expect to be extremely relaxed, stress relief immediately almost. They can expect to leave feeling a whole lot better than they did when they came in.
Okay. Well, as far as like the process, I think that's what people are wondering is, okay, I make an appointment with a Reiki practitioner. What happens? Like, where do I go? Am I sitting? Am I laying down? Are my clothes on? Or is it like,
Yes.
that's what people are so what,
Yes.
What do you say to people when they ask you, like, what can I expect during this session?
Well, you're completely clothed. And I have a massage table, and I cover them up. They lay on their table, and I cover them up. And I can feel over their body where they have energy blocks, and I will put my hands down in that area and work on that area. We have typical positions that we use from head to toe, and we may use those, and the seasoned Reiki practitioner might intuitively work differently, but we have typical hand positions that we would normally use. So I have been told that the clients feel a lot lighter. I have clients that fall completely asleep and snore through the whole thing. I have clients who are awake through the whole thing and want to feel the whole process. So it's extremely relaxing, and I haven't had one person tell me that they didn't feel good after they left. And they can feel the pain leaving their body, literally.
So and this is kind of a loaded question because everybody feels differently, but what does Reiki feel like? Like, what would you tell somebody that Reiki could possibly feel like when they're getting it?
Well, you could feel a heat. You can feel tingling. You can feel different sensations waving through your body. Everyone has a different sensation or an effect. Some people see colors. Some have visions. Everyone experiences something totally different. And I think the whole experience that each person has is exciting. I love to ask, well, what did you experience? And each time that I do Reiki with someone, I kind of keep a mental note, of what their experience was. I just find that exciting, Maybe I'll write a book one day.
Does anybody else have
Yeah.
any patients tell them or clients tell them different sensations that they may have felt?
Sometimes I've had clients who feel coldness, you know, if I'm working on their knee, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
notice that my hands or the sensation that they're feeling is what their body actually needs at that moment. If they're experiencing a lot of pain in their knee and my hands feel cold even though they are hot, that helps bring the blood flow. So they can feel the blood moving through their body. They get a flow of energy.
Okay. Yeah, and I'd like to tell people that, there's no right or wrong way to feel. There's no one particular way that you're going to feel. Just because somebody else had one experience doesn't mean that you're going to have that experience. And I know sometimes people like, well, my friend got it and they felt this way, and then they might be a little bit disappointed because they didn't feel the same sensations. Like, everybody is different. Some people don't feel any physical sensation, but they feel more relaxed and stress-free when the session is over. And some people, there's a little bit of a delayed effect, so they might feel better right after the session, and then like an hour or two later they call you, oh my God, I can't believe how much better I feel now.
Yes.
So everybody reacts differently, and that's okay, and that's the point, is we want to let people know there's, just basically go with it. And if just like anything else, if there's something that's making you uncomfortable, or if you start to really feel uncomfortable, then tell the practitioner, like, hey, this is a weird sensation. Is this,
Right.
I'm not sure if I really want you working on that area. I mean, you can communicate with people, it's just like any other modality, any other treatment. If you feel uncomfortable, let somebody know.
Right. No two healing sessions have been the same for me, though, ever.
Right,
Every time it's different.
yeah. So what would you like people to know about Reiki? Like, what message would you want to get across?
I think it's safe and accessible, and very helpful for all sorts of things. It promotes psychological, emotional, physical well-being, spiritual, on every level. So I think if you're drawn to it and if you have a curiosity about it, I think it's best to at least see what it's like.
Right. It can't hurt.
Don't be afraid. Yeah.
Right. I would say give it the experience. It's so difficult to talk about what you feel, but you have to experience it. And it really does help your healing process. Any medical issue that you may have, it helps speed up recovery.
Okay. Any message that you'd like to get across, Lisa?
I agree with what Nicole said as well. I think that you won't know until you try it. And, children can benefit, the elderly, the sick. Anyone can benefit. So it's not, limited to just an adult or someone young. Everyone can benefit from it. It can relieve pain, depression, anxiety, just on many levels.
Okay.
It can help.
Right, and Kelley had mentioned, she had said, it helps with physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. They're all different levels that it can
Right.
help on. And one thing that we didn't say about the energy healing is it's not rooted in religion. So it's not a religious type of healing, because I know some people that say, oh, I won't do that because it's against my religion, but it's not against any religion.
No,
And it can
there's
actually
no dogma.
Yeah, and has actually helped some people that are in a spiritual crisis figure out their own belief systems.
Absolutely.
So it can help on, like I said, all those different levels. And we have just a few minutes left, and it's hard to translate this across the TV. But Lisa, would you like to kind of demonstrate on me, like, what does it look like to give somebody Reiki?
To give someone Reiki?
Like, oh, you have to stick to
I
it, but
will,
you can
yeah.
do it on my arm.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just do a Reiki on your arm then.
Okay.
All right.
And so basically, like, what you can see is, and like I said, it's all different. Like, Nicole usually lays her hands right on the person. And Lisa has her hands like right above me. If you can see that, it's probably about an inch or so above me. But as soon as she did that, for me personally, I could start to feel like some warmth that's coming in. I respond differently to Reiki treatments at different times. So
Sure.
sometimes I might get a pulsing sensation.
Yeah, I have that now, actually.
You're getting the
Yeah.
pulsing. And so the Reiki practitioner as well as the Reiki patient can have different sensations. But this is pretty much all that it is, so
Right.
thank you. And I wanted to thank you guys for being on the show and for letting people know about Reiki.
Well, thank you for inviting
thank
me.
you.
Thank you for the awareness that you bring as well.
Yes.
I feel blessed to be here. Thank you.
Well, thanks. Well, your contact information will be up at the end of the show if somebody wanted to find out more information. So remember that regardless of the cards you were dealt or your current state of health, you have the power to take charge of your health. So never give up and never stop learning. The solution you seek may be just around the corner. If you ladies can join me in a toast to our viewers.
With pleasure.
Thank you.
We wish you a wonderful today and an even better tomorrow. Here's to your health.
Thank you.
Cheers.